Hi everybody, this is Dan Talks Sense, and today I'm going to be doing a review of the latest release from Victor and Rolf. It's Infrared Eau de Parfum. In the review today, I'm going to compare the EDP version of Infrared to the original EDT version of Infrared, and I'm also going to compare both fragrances to the original Spicebomb EDT, one of my favourite fragrances of all time. Now in the review today, I'm going to tell you about its performance, projection, fragrances I think it smells similar to, and whether I think it's worth owning this one in your collection. So if that kind of thing would interest you, then please stay tuned. So before we crack on with the review, we just look at the original EDT of Infrared. In the top notes, you have grapefruit, pimento, saffron, red apple, red pepper, cinnamon, lavender, and chili in the heart, with tobacco, benzoin, cedarwood, and amberwood in the base. Now, when we look at the Eau de Parfum version, they've really shortened the amount of notes in this one. We have chili, cinnamon, and red pepper in the top, that habanero chili in the heart, with woods and leather in the base. What I like about the presentation is the red and black contrast. It reminds me of the WWF legend wrestler Kane, but also in fragrance terms, it reminds me of Fahrenheit Absolute, the nice dark red and black bottle. I think it's a cool concept. When I was doing the video, actually, I had to keep checking I was holding the right one in my hand. But presentation wise, I think it's really nice. I think the grenade bottle is so cool, with all spice bombs. I think it's great. But yeah, really nice presentation actually. With the Eau de Parfum, you just got Eau de Parfum written there, and the strip around the circumference is red compared to black. Not much difference at all, but really nice. So the first thing that I felt when I first sprayed on the Eau de Parfum, and I have to keep looking at bottles to make sure I'm showing the right one because they're very similar in presentation. But the Eau de Parfum, when I first sprayed it on, I picked up this patchouli note in there. It was quite earthy, and it was quite different from the Spicebomb DNA I felt when I first sprayed it on. And I thought, actually, that's different to what I thought it was going to be. So that was quite a nice thing to experience, because, you know, you want it to be different. But I was a little bit underwhelmed when I first sprayed it on, if I'm being honest, because a big thing for me is the scent opening. Now, it isn't always a good thing, because we can be tricked when we're in the shops and stuff. We spray fragrance on, and the initial opening of a fragrance draws us in, and that's what makes us want to buy the fragrance. But gotta say, when I first sprayed it on, I wasn't too impressed. But when it started to dry down, I started to really like it. And I picked up this really nice spicy coffee note in there. And then the cinnamon came in, and it started to remind me a little bit more of Spicebomb Extreme, if I'm being honest, because the cinnamon was quite prominent in there. But one disappointment that I got from the fragrance is that it said that leather was going to be more of a prominent note in this one. And if I'm being honest, I didn't really get a lot of the leather. When I think of leather in fragrances, especially in designer ones, there's two fragrances that come to mind where I think it's used well. One is Acqua di Parma leather, because you've got beautiful citrus notes with the leathers, the backbone, and it just smells so good. And Dior Homme Parfum. And the reason that I like Dior Homme Parfum is I think that leather note gives it that backbone, that it makes it more mature. It gives it a bit more of strength in the fragrance, makes it last long, and it makes it smell a bit more expensive, if I'm being honest. And that's what I was hoping to get from the Eau de Parfum, but I didn't really get enough of that leather. What I did get was some nice woods in there, and then the spices started to come through. Not as strong as Spicebomb Extreme, but quite nice. If I smell wrist again, it did remind me of a fragrance, and a few people have mentioned it on Fragrantica, of Killing Intoxicated, just because of that spicy coffee accord that you get in there, and you get a bit of earthiness in there. And with the earthiness, actually, and people might think I'm a bit mad for saying this, but it reminded me a little bit of Oud for Greatness for some reason. It spices, bit of earthiness in there, and quite good. And what I felt with this is I kept on going in to sniff my wrist because it's really intriguing and nice, intoxicating, if you will. Um, but I did like it. But on the other hand, it's not as strong as I wanted it to be. If you think the infrared is an EDT, when I look at an eau de parfum, a higher concentration of alcohol, in my experience, eau de parfums tend to perform and project better. But this infrared eau de parfum did not perform better or project better than the infrared EDT. So for me, that was quite a bit of a disappointment. What I would say is good about the release is that they have diverted away from the original DNA enough to make it worth owning both in your collection. I think this would be more of a intimate date night fragrance, and for somebody that doesn't really want to make a big, to be smelt by everybody in the office. But like we mentioned before, Killing Intoxicated, one of those fragrances that has a nice little scent trail that will make people ask you, oh, what are you wearing? But if you wanted a fragrance that's going to grab attention and people to definitely smell you, you'd go for the EDT. When I think about when I do these reviews, I think I've got 30 mils of each fragrance, something like that. I think it's 20 or 30 mils, and I'm in a fragrance group. And there's a guy in there called Jovan Lee, and he's a legend in the fragrance group that I'm in because he manages to get these fragrance early. He sells samples to people in the group, and we're really grateful for people like Jovan because they help us. We can buy a small amount, make a decision on whether we like it or not, without spending the full amount of money on the full bottle. And what I have noticed in a number of fragrance groups that I'm on is a lot of people have had a few sprays of this one and then they've decided to sell it because they're not going to wear it enough. And I think I'm in the same position as those people, is that I wouldn't go out and buy a full bottle of this because I can't see myself wearing it enough. It doesn't stand out as much as I wanted it to. It's a nice fragrance. I kept smelling my wrist throughout the day, but it just doesn't have that X factor that some fragrances do when they're first released. And what it has made me do actually is appreciate the infrared a little bit more, because this is close to the original Spicebomb DNA from 2012 to 2015, where it was super sweet and where it projected a little bit more. And actually, this has made me want to wear this as my scent of the day today. And if I was to buy one out of the two, I think it would be the original Spicebomb Infrared EDT. Because I just think overall, in terms of performance projection, I think that the EDT is a better fragrance. But if you like things like Killing Intoxicated, if you like fragrances that have a moderate scent bubble, and you like the note of patchouli and you like spicy coffee fragrances, then the Eau de Parfum is definitely a fragrance that you should be checking out. What I'd say to everybody out there is join fragrance groups. I'm in a number of them on Facebook, and you get to talk to the community. You hear their opinions on a daily basis. But people buy fragrances, they do samples of them, and for a small amount of money, we can get an idea of a fragrance and what it's like. And what I always ask Jovan for is the remaining 10, 20, 30 mils of a bottle, because I just think it looks good when I do my videos in terms of presentation, everything. I just think it looks a bit more professional if I've actually got the bottle in my hand. And that's what I'm going to continue to do with my reviews. I am going to do a number of reviews in the next coming weeks because I've got a number of fragrances I'm really happy that I purchased. So they're coming up. And thank you for watching the video today. What I really actually, I know people always say this when they do these videos and stuff, is about putting comments down below, but I do really appreciate it is if people, when you watch this video, if you smelt the Eau de Parfum version or you smelt the EDT, if you agree with what I've said, because it's actually interesting to see people agree with my thoughts on the fragrances in general terms, think infrared is the original Spicebomb EDT with a nice addition of that chili note and decent, I think, more above average performance and projection. And with the Oda Puff on, it's more reined in, it's more earthy. You get the spicy coffee note, but a little bit underwhelming. That's my general thoughts. So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I appreciate you watching my channel. Sorry I haven't done content for a while. I appreciate you watching my video today, and hopefully I'll speak to you all very soon.